This is the Middle-earth philosopher. The universe of Middle-earth is often praised and criticized for its black and white morality. Good guys behave like good guys, and bad guys behave like bad guys. There's no gray areas to worry about, or that cause the viewer and/or reader to fall back into the dirty complexities of the real world. But is it though? In particular, the definition of good guys and how many good guys oftentimes either misjudge their enemies or create them through their own biases. Take Gollum, for example. Whether you're familiar with the movies or the books, there is an awareness that the character struggles with mixed motivations. On the one hand, he loathes Frodo for keeping the One Ring from him, and yet, on his original personality of Smeagol, develops an affection and loyalty to Frodo. YouTuber Geekzone points out that there is one point in the books where, like in the movies, there is a tipping point where one personality or the other can win out. And it's Sam's harsh view and attack of Gollum that pushes that character to side with the Gollum personality. Another example could be the Elf Lord Celebrimbor, who is responsible for making the Rings of Power. That despite not nearly being the basket case that his grandfather Fëanor was, that he still creates them out of mixed intentions. Yes, to benefit Middle-earth and make up for the past deeds of the Noldor elves, but also out of ambition to preserve the world as the elves knew it, to the point where his political faction arguably runs Galadriel out of Eregion over that issue, where Annatar was trying to help them create the rings, and as we all know, Annatar being Sauron. There's the character of Isildur, who throughout most of his portrayal, both in the books and somewhat even in the movies of the Fellowship of the Ring as well, is a valiant character, and he's courageous, and he seems to be more or less kind of a decent guy, someone who's willing to put it all on the line for what he believes in and to defeat Sauron. Yet, he falls to the One Ring at the last minute, and he fails to destroy it. Now, if you look at Elrond's response to this, he pretty much thinks basically, fuck this guy and fuck humanity as a matter of fact to that. However, Isildur doesn't go out and start massacring people or start behaving evilly all of a sudden. Maybe it's because he didn't get the chance to because he was killed later in an ambush. But he still seems like a pretty decent guy afterwards, even if maybe a little bit of a darker tint to his personality. And speaking of Fëanor, the Mad Elf himself is largely considered evil by those who knew him because of his ego, perceived narcissism, and ambition. And to those who don't know him, all they hear is basically bad things about him because of the chaos that he caused, particularly regarding the kinslayings that he himself committed and sets his sons to in the Oath of Fëanor. Yet, at the same time, Fëanor's issues largely stem from having lost his mother when he was born, and also too being intensely loyal to his father Finwë, who, while he was alive and before he was killed, Fëanor had shown no signs of any kind of real grand ambitions beyond loyalty to his family and just continuing to make great things. No desire to go back to Middle-earth, no desire to rule all the elves, no desire to really commit acts of violence against anyone short of if they try to mess up his relationship with his father. And perhaps the greatest example of the greatness of his character being the act of creating Cimmerals in the first place. The Cimmerals, as we all know, being jewels that he makes that contain the light of the original trees of Valinor that had been destroyed by Morgoth. Did he make this out of ego? Perhaps. Maybe he just made it out of a desire to create something great. And by that desire, that creation encompassed the light of those trees that made that realm so wonderful, so that at least something of it remained after its destruction. Did they cause a lot of chaos and misery because of their existence? Yeah, they did. But at the same time, at least the Valar and the elves had something tangible to hold on to remind themselves of what had once been. Something that would not have existed had Fëanor not made the Cimmerals in the first place. And arguably, and perhaps the greatest example I can think of about this, being Hurin and his son Turin from the First Age. Both men are regarded as two of the greatest and most courageous mortal warriors that Middle-earth had ever seen, both putting all their effort into defending what they hold dear against the evil of Morgoth, yet producing mixed results from either pride, ego, or deception that instead furthered evil designs more often than not, it seems. Now, what I'm saying is that in Middle-earth, something that looks good isn't always good or produce good results. And likewise, someone who is evil isn't always, for the most part, acting out of pure evil, even though their actions might be considered evil. Good characters can create evil characters, and evil characters create good characters. And much of this being the case through the perceptions and beliefs of said characters. And as the benefit of being an outside viewer, we oftentimes can sometimes see that if they perhaps had done something differently, said something differently, or did another action of some sort, that what ends up happening may not have happened at all. And this is the case as in most stories really in Middle-earth, that it is oftentimes other powers or outsiders that perceive this hidden truth in a world that is full of powerful symbolic images that are sometimes contrary to what the actual reality is. But if you happen to agree or disagree with that, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, this is the Middleearth Philosopher, and you guys have a good day.